You know what the best part about the Daredevil's action sequences are? It's not the amazing choreography. It's not the amazing stunts. It's not even the amazing camera work or the fact that these characters are looking flippin' cool while doing it. It's the fact that when they hit a bad guy, they don't just automatically go like, ugh. They get back up! It takes 3 or 4 hits to get them down! When was the last time you saw that in a superhero flick? It's lazy time and we're gonna do a review. Yes, we're gonna review like about movies and comics too. Let's all go watch Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm LaserDude99. This is my review of Daredevil Season 2, the Netflix show that is, of course, streaming now, and you can definitely watch it now. And if you don't want to, well, what else are you going to do with your time? Live a fruitful life? If you're watching my video, not likely. I'm kidding. You guys are great. Subscribe if you haven't already. Anyway. So Daredevil Season 2, it's Matt Murdock's story, how their firm is, is having some troubles, but what else is new? He and Karen are starting to feel each other out to see if they actually want to have a relationship with each other. Matt is still finding himself as a superhero, but he's still, doing stuff. Daredevil is, he's loved throughout the city. But then things start to take a turn. The first curveball that is thrown Matt Murdock's way is the fact that the Punisher has arrived. That's right, Frank Castle is a vigilante who is taking Matt Murdock's superhero persona to the extreme by killing all of his victims, and they have been dubbing him the Punisher because he's not doing this for any strategic gain or anything like that. He's just doing it because you're scum, and scum gotta die. And so if that wasn't bad enough that he had to deal with that, we also have Elektra, a past love, returning into his life that causes a lot of emotional baggage that he has. So he's trying to juggle being a lawyer, fighting the Punisher, dealing with Elektra and the stuff that goes on with her in the hand, and also maybe trying to start a relationship with Karen Page, all while trying to keep his company afloat. Or his agency, his lawyer setup thingy. Now, the first thing that I will say about Daredevil Season 2 is this. Daredevil Season 1 was very focused. It's like, it's the Kingpin. Everything's focused on the Kingpin. There's one guy. Everything's focused here. That's where we're putting all of our focus on. It's all about the Kingpin. This show, this season, there seemed to be like 3 different main plots to this story. There was the number 1 story, which was just Matt Murdock going through these different things. We have the Punisher, which is the second part of the story, and how Matt Murdock reacts to the Punisher and what the Punisher's doing and why he's doing what he's doing and what happens after he runs fisticuffs with Daredevil. And then there is what happens with Elektra. And Elektra has stuff going on with the hand, and they're trying, so it's like. And this is kind of interesting because in a lot of ways, Matt is trying to do 2 different things at once. He's trying to deal with the Punisher and the Punisher stuff and Elektra's stuff at the same time, and they clash, and it gets in the way of his job, and it gets in the way with his friends. And you know what? This show does a great job of just keeping things building onto each other. A lot of times in shows, especially superhero shows these days, they kind of feel formulaic. This is what the hero is going through. He has to learn to trust somebody, or to not take everything for himself, or to trust other people, or you gotta hone in your power, or something. There's certain things like that. This one, it takes its character arc season wide, and that is really good because it's just like, I love almost any superhero show you can throw my way, but when I have to see the Flash, doubt himself and then get a pep talk from Joe or Cisco or somebody, and then he's like, yeah, I can do this, and then he does it. Sometimes shows can be really formulaic. Superhero tries, fails, learns a lesson, tries again, wins. That feels very formulaic, and this doesn't feel that way. Its story, the character arcs are very flowing. You know, when a character is having a problem, he's still having that problem the next episode, and he's still trying to learn how to get out of this rut that he's found himself in. Anyway, my original point was the fact that Season 1, having a singular focus, really you're able to follow this. There's sometimes when I see Daredevil fighting somebody that I'm just like, wait, who's he fighting? Is this for the Daredevil? Is this for the, the Punisher stuff or the Elektra stuff? I mean, okay, no, now I know. Okay, let's continue. But sometimes I have to think about it. Like, wait, who's he fighting and why? Is this part of this gang or that gang? Or is that gang part of this gang? Are these tied together at all? No? Okay, well, okay, sure, let's go with it. But besides this pacing, I still like this season quite a bit. Let's just talk about the characters. Starting with Matt Murdock's, Charlie Cox is still a great Matt Murdock. He really has this feeling about him that I finally getting a feel for what type of hero Daredevil is. There are certain heroes that I don't really get a feel for what type of hero they actually are. Like if you ask me what type of hero is Iron Fist, I'd say an honorable one who fights with his hands. I could tell you what his costume is and what his what his powers are, but I don't really have a feel for what the type of character are. You ask me who Batman is, I could say he's a loner. He's a brooding guy who's prepared for everything and tries to take the weight of his worlds on his shoulders, and he's super intelligent and can plan for any obstacle ahead of time, blah, 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 world's greatest detective, blah, blah, blah. I know the character. I'm finally getting a feel for what type of person and character Daredevil is, and I think Charlie Cox does a great job with that. Next character I want to talk about is Deborah Ann Wool as Karen Page. She's great. I love Karen Page. Because you know what? She is just a good character. And in some ways, she's a more important character than Foggy. Because, Foggy, a lot of the times it's just he's being mad at Matt and, going through stuff where, Karen Page has a character arc. She's going through stuff. She's having to track stuff down, and she's feeling certain ways because of stuff that happened in the last season and stuff that's going on in this one. And, in a lot of ways, I really like her, and I'm so glad that she's not just the typical romantic interest, and that's it. A lot like... I would say that she's probably the best romantic side character that isn't another superhero in superheroes movies or anything. In live-action superhero, I think Karen Page is great, is probably the best. When you ask, whoa, wait, what about Catwoman? I'm talking about non-powered characters. Because you never look down at her. She's always working hard. She's always... there, she's, she might not be on Daredevil's level as fighting crime, but she's always doing something to further the plot. She's very moralistic. She has her own set of moralities, and she has her own breaking points. She says to Matt, look, I'm not stupid. I know that you and Foggy have something that you're keeping from me, and you know what? When you're ready to tell me, tell me. But don't think I'm an idiot and keep on coming up with these lame excuses. Eddie Henson as Foggy Nelson he's great. He really comes across as the ordinary guy who, he's an ordinary guy. He's just like you and me, but he's also very smart. There's a lot of times where he goes the extra mile to show how much he cares, and he really feels like a really nice guy, a guy I wanted to hang out with. I don't drink, so we probably wouldn't have a whole lot in common, but he seems like a guy I could talk about a movie series for an hour and a half. But let's talk about the person who really stole the show this season, Jon Bernthal as the Punisher. This is really interesting because it's an interesting performance. There's no point where you really see the Punisher as a redeemable character. Like someone who could be a good guy. And that's good, because there's a point where, a character says, if you do that, you'll be just like them, or something like that, and he's just like, I don't care. And he, does what he was going to do in the first place. And it's just like, yeah, that's the Punisher. The Punisher is not looking for redemption. He's not looking to be saved. He's not looking to dole out justice on the world. The Punisher is just a killing machine looking to punish those who he deems worthy of his punishment. And I'll be honest, I'm not really a great fan of this actor, Jon Bernthal. like, I don't hate him or anything, but it's just like, his character in The Walking Dead, Shane, I never liked, and I know I wasn't supposed to like him, but I never really found him sympathetic, and I felt like I was supposed to find him a sympathetic villain. I'm just like, oh, just kill him already. You should have killed him 3 episodes ago. And then, I've seen him stuff like in Fury, but he was just such an over-the-top jerk that it was impossible to like anything of his character. I feel like he's finally given a role with some meat to chew on. Anyway, moving on, we also got, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this right, Elodie Young as Elektra. And let me just be honest and say, I've never liked Elektra. Ever. But I like this one. I think the reason is Elektra is a lot more messed up in this. Other versions of Elektra, I just found that she was the tough girl, and Matt Murdock said that she could be good, and she's like, oh, okay, I'll do that then. So I'm good now. This one, she's like really, like for the first, she starts out really manipulative. She's like really manipulating Matt Murdock into doing all these things, and he outright hates her. And throughout the film, you realize, no, she's a little bit more messed up underneath the thing. She's always been like, told her entire life how to act and what is right and what is wrong. And she's actually with Matt Murdock. She's finally seen how there are other ways. There are other ways that she could do things. There are other options. She's not destined to always be this way, and that she could do other stuff if she wanted. Where Frank Castle accepts who he is, like, yeah, I'm a monster and I'm okay with that. Elektra's more like, she's like, I'm a monster, but maybe I don't have to be. But I like how they show at the beginning she's really manipulative. Matt wants nothing to do with her, and she ropes him along in this thing. And she's also like the only one who really accepts his Daredevil side. Foggy's not on board with it. He's still like, look, Matt, we need you as a lawyer. We don't need you as this vigilante and robbing around, but he can't see the big picture. Nobody else knows except for Stick, who is just his old mentor, who's just wanting to use him for his old war. And then you got Elektra, who understands why he needs to do what he does as Daredevil. For example, the night nurse character, who played by Rosario Dawson, she understands why he has to do it, and she believes that Daredevil is needed, but she just can't deal with him. She's like, look, I know why you do this, and I know why you have to do this, but I can't deal with you. Elektra is like the only one that really embraced the Daredevil side, and that's kind of like what Matt Murdock is really struggling with. This is just like trying to be Matt Murdock and Daredevil, and how that really affects him. And you feel really bad for this character by the end of it, because in some ways, since he keeps letting the people he cares about down in the real world, in the outside world, he starts shutting himself out. In some ways, some of them let him. They're mad of what he's doing, and so they just let him shut them out. And it's in this weird, and it leads on an unsteady note for where at the beginning of the season, these three are inseparable friends. And they're going to be together, and they're really close and everything. At the end of it, at the end of this season, you're like, I don't really know where these characters move forward together, or if there is a together with them. I want to talk about the fight scenes, because they were absolutely incredible with this thing. I mean, it's like there's so many that are like long shots that are just keep on going, panning around and around and around. And as I said in the beginning of this review, the best thing is when you punch a bad guy, it's a punch. It's going to hurt, but one punch isn't going to knock you out. Not if you're like a thug that has any, credit, might knock me out. But, it's like one punch is not going to knock you out. And I like how the way this is choreographed is so perfectly, because it's not like the hero does one spin kick and you're down. You're down, the character is down, but then he has to get back up. And so Daredevil's fighting somebody else while this character is getting back up, and then this character has to get back up and try to fight, and then Daredevil hits him, and so it's like you're fighting 3 different people at once, but they keep on getting back up, and you're trying to, knock them down, and I really love that about this series. I think for me, the best fight sequence has to be Daredevil versus the, I think, what are they, the Wild Dogs? something dogs. There's just a scene where the Punisher opens fire on a bunch of them. Daredevil knocks the Punisher down. And then Daredevil has to take on this whole gang by himself, while one of his hands is tied with a chain, the other one is tied with a gun with no bullets in it, but it's duct taped to a gun. So he basically has to fight these guys while he's kind of handicapped in this way, but he does it, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that is so cool. And this series, I still think it has one of the greatest costumes in superhero television history, if not the greatest. The way they bring it to life is great. I don't know if they keep on improving it and making it more and more like the comics in the future, but it's going to be interesting to see. So I think that's really all I have to say about Daredevil without going into any spoilers, and I don't really think I really need to do a spoiler review on this. I think it's great. Do I think it's better than the first one? I know a lot of people didn't agree with me, but I still wasn't a fan of Vincent D'Onofrio's acting as Wilson Fisk. And you know what? I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not what I want out of Wilson Fisk. I mean, he has this way of talking that seems a little bit off to me. I mean, he's menacing, but the stuff he does is great. I just something's off with me, but I think that's just me because everyone else seems to love it. And as I say, I can't say it's bad. It's just not exactly what I'm looking for. But I really like what Elektra, the acting with Elektra. I really like Frank Castle. I like what he's going through. The series is losing a little focus, and I think Season 3, which is probably, if I was to guess, is going to be... Here's what I would say. Season 3 would be the rising again of the Kingpin, and he gets Bullseye in on the mix, and that adds a whole new dynamic to this whole thing. Or, Wilson Fisk maybe is controlling things from prison or something like that. I don't know, but I think that's where I would go with it if I was the writers, and that seems to be the logical place. Bring Kingpin back, get Bullseye in, because when I saw the first series, I'm like, okay, get Bullseye next, but they're like, no, we got Elektra, that's enough, and then we'll add the Punisher. I don't know if Punisher is gonna get his own TV show. I'm really not sure if I could. The actor is good, and they definitely have stuff that they could do with him. I'm just not sure if I would watch, a series of just Punisher killing. I probably would start, but I don't know. Oh, who am I kidding? I'd watch it. But, it's hard to, watch a character be the main character who's not morally good, really, at all. So in the end, I would say Daredevil Season 2 I probably enjoyed more than Season 1. Because the action was better, I liked some of the characters more, but I think that Season 1 probably is better because it has a better focus, and the story flows into each episode. In Season 1, I was like, oh man, I have to watch what happens next. For this season, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see what happens next. I still binged it, but it wasn't like I felt the need, I gotta see what happens next. It was like, okay, I'm interested, where are we going with this? And you know what? I still enjoyed it, so I'd say Season 1's probably a better one, but I think I enjoy Season 2 more. That's just me. It got me to like characters that I didn't really care for, and it got me to really like it. It continues on with the supporting cast being really good. Matt Murdock is still really good, and you know what? I just can't wait to see what they do with Luke Cage now, because that little tease at the end of it, that was pretty cool. So, I would give Daredevil Season 2 a 7.5 out of 10. It's very good. I like it a lot. This is probably the best made superhero TV show ever made. I mean, I feel like they're taking the stuff that we want to see out of these characters from the comics, and they're making their own. There's a point in one of the story where a character says, Daredevil must die. I'm like, that's a comic book title. That is a comic book title right there. I can tell. But in the end, I just think this is a great series. If you haven't watched it yet, if you're taking your time, I won't spoil anything for you that I haven't already. But I think it's really good. I'm looking forward to see what they do in the next season. I'm looking forward to, because Marvel's still trucking along. While I say this might not be as strong as the last one, I still think it's pretty darn good. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'm LazyDude99, and yeah, thumbs up on Daredevil Season 2. Be sure to check out more of my other videos on my channel, and wait for more coming soon.